French police have shot dead the man who attacked Strasbourg's Christmas market on Tuesday, the Interior Minister has said. A police unit came across Grave Chekatt in a Strasbourg street and shot him after he opened fire. 3 people have died following the shooting at the market and several more were seriously injured. Chekatt
29
had a string of criminal convictions in France and Germany and had become a radical Islamist in jail. Interior Minister Christophe Castaner said 3 police officers had spotted a man matching Chekatt's description on Rue de Lazare in the Nudolf area of Strasbourg at
21点
local time
20点
GMT. As the police moved to stop him, the suspect turned around and opened fire. They fired back and neutralized the attacker, said Mr. Castaner, who later went to the scene. Hundreds of French police and security forces had been searching for Chekatt. A large police operation had taken place in Nudolf earlier on Thursday, but ended apparently without results. 5 people have been arrested in connection with the attack. They include Grave Chekatt, his parents, and 2 of his brothers. Strasbourg Mayor Roland Rai said that finding Chekatt meant the worried people of his city would now be able to return to a normal life. Mr. Castaner thanked the security forces in a tweet. Face Opaya, who are best on the mirror, Mercy,
请
Strasbourg pick, Twitter, COMCGBBZRFX end of Twitter posted by @Castaner at about
20点
local time
19点
GMT. A man opened fire close to the famed Christmas market near Place Clayobert, which attracts thousands of visitors. France's anti-terror prosecutor, Armand Heights, said the man had shouted, "Allahu Akbar, God is greatest" as he opened fire. The suspect was armed with a gun and a knife and escaped the area after commandeering a taxi, Mr. Heights said. As he fled, he came into contact with 4 soldiers, Mr. Heights said, and began firing at them. The soldiers fired back, apparently hitting him in the arm. The attacker boasted to the taxi driver that he had killed 10 people, and also said he had been injured during a firefight with the soldiers. He ordered the taxi driver to drop him near the police station in Nudolf. When he got out of the vehicle, he fired at police officers before escaping. Chekatt was born in Strasbourg and was already known to the security services. He was the subject of FHS, a watch list of people who represent a potential threat to national security. He had 27 convictions for crimes, including robbery spanning France, Germany and Switzerland, and had spent considerable time in prison. As a result, police were seeking him on Tuesday morning in connection with another case, but did not find him at home. A search of his apartment in Nudolf revealed a grenade, a rifle, 4 knives, 2 of which were hunting knives, and ammunition. The Islamic State group, is self-styled news agency, Amaq, on Thursday said that Chekatt was an Islamic State soldier who had carried out the operation in response to calls for targeting citizens of coalition countries fighting its militants in Syria and Iraq. The death of Kamal Naqshband, originally from Afghanistan, was announced on Thursday. The father of 3 died in hospital. His mosque announced that his funeral will take place after Friday prayers. Svetobi, CSD Kamal Naqshband, P. 3 infants, most well-known Q-San office from Rero Lucini, Vendredi 14 December, La Grande Mosquée et Sultan B. in Strasbourg, APRS La Prairie du Vendredi.
23点
Il Syrian Homosinati Reinu Salman, de Strasbourg My Peak, Twitter,
COMLK 6
an end of Twitter posted by @GM Yap Sultan, a retired bank worker aged
61
from Strasbourg, was also killed in the attack, according to the Figaro. The 3rd victim is believed to be a Thai tourist who was on holiday with his wife. Anupong Suebsamarn
45
has been named by Thai media as one of the dead. The US Senate has voted to withdraw its military aid for Saudi Arabia as war on Yemen and to blame the kingdom, its crown prince, for the murder of a journalist. The historic note is the first time any chamber of US Congress has agreed to pull its forces from a military conflict under the 1973 War Powers Act. Some of President Donald Trump's fellow Republicans defied him to pass the measure with Democrats by Subtract 41, but the resolution is seen as largely symbolic and unlikely to become law. The non-binding War Powers Resolution calls upon President Trump to remove all American forces engaging in hostilities in Yemen, except for those combating Islamist extremists. The Senate then unanimously passed a resolution blaming Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi's murder in October, and insisting that the kingdom hold accountable those responsible. The US chose to cease refueling Saudi warplanes last month, and Thursday's resolution, if it were ultimately passed into law, would prohibit that practice from resuming. Independent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who co-sponsored the measure with Republican Mike Lane of Utah, held the vote. Today we tell the despotic government of Saudi Arabia that we will not be part of their military adventures, he said. He described the outcome as a signal to the world that the United States of America will not continue to be part of the worst humanitarian disaster on the face of the earth. Republican Senator Bob Corker told MSNBC, if he was before a jury, the Crown Prince, he would be convicted, in my opinion, in 30 minutes. Analysis by Barbara Platt, BBC State Department correspondent. The two resolutions send a strong message that for a majority of senators, the status quo with Saudi Arabia is no longer acceptable. They value the strategic relationship but are deeply uneasy about the leadership of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They viewed his foreign interventions with growing concern, especially the human cost of the war in Yemen. But it was the grisly murder of Jamal Khashoggi that tipped the scales. It dramatically increased the support for the resolution to withdraw its military support for the Saudi-led campaign in Yemen, something that failed to pass earlier in the year. Many senators saw the Khashoggi killing as the blatantly egregious act of an ally that felt immune from rebuke, and they were dismayed when the administration stood staunchly by the prince without censure, even though the CIA concluded he probably ordered the killing. Senators want to see the administration shape the alliance as the senior partner and enforce red lines. Senior Republican Senator Bob Corker noted recently that much of the bipartisan activism in the Senate has been fueled by a perception that there is no balance between values and interests in the administration. Its policies. President Trump has vowed to veto the measure, and it is unlikely right now to pass the House of Representatives, which on Wednesday blocked a vote on the matter. But Senator Sanders said he expects the resolution to succeed once Democrats formally take over control of the House in January following their midterm elections victory. The Trump administration had argued the bill would undercut support for the Saudi-led coalition against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. White House officials have emphasized its economic ties to the kingdom. Mr. Trump's advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has continued to cultivate ties with the prince. According to the US media, earlier on Thursday, the warring sides met in Sweden, where they agreed to hold a ceasefire in the port city of Hodeidah, a key entry point for aid and food imports. After the deal was reached, negotiators for both parties shook hands to applause, though they later expressed skepticism. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said he hoped this would be the starting point to bring nearly 4 years of civil strife to a close. Since hostilities began in 2014, thousands of civilians have been killed, and around 14 million people have been pushed to the brink of starvation, according to the UN. Saudi Arabia buys the bulk of its weapons from the United States, Britain and France. AS passenger plane traveling from Seattle to Dallas was forced to turn back hours into its flight because a human heart had been left on board. Southwest Airlines says the organ was flown to Seattle from California, where it was to be processed at a hospital to have a valve recovered for future use, but it was never unloaded and its absence was not noticed until the plane was almost halfway to Dallas.